As an American doctor who takes Medicare, I am not allowed to waive fees for procedures or charge a patient less than what our officially set rates are, even if they don't have insurance. I'm also not allowed to ask a doctor from a different practice what a certain insurance company pays them for a service, as this has been deemed antitrust. Greater than. I'm also not allowed to ask a doctor from a different practice what a certain insurance company pays them for a service, as this has been deemed antitrust. WTF is the logic behind that greater than? Sleeping in your car when you're too drunk to drive. Also sleeping in your car when you have no home. Grabbing thrown-out clothes from clothing stores, furniture, appliances, brand new stuff that just didn't sell or was out of season. Truly wasteful and probably a terrible. My mom used to drive behind strip malls with me as a kid and we'd find all sorts of good stuff. Pier 1 Imports used to have some good stuff, so did Burlington Coat Factory. Wow. I always thought the clothing would get damaged in some way to prevent this. I've seen videos of people just slashing t-shirts open before throwing them away. When I worked in a tea store that went bankrupt during COVID, we received instruction to throw everything away. Some stuff obviously was sent back, like mugs and loose leaf tea, to be sold on the online store. My manager was awesome and let us take everything else. I have years' worth of napkins, disposable cloths, tea sachets, and even a brand new kettle. Best manager I ever had. She just didn't see the point in throwing away perfectly good things. Cafeteria workers at schools feeding children that don't have money. Edit. Oh geez, I totally realized by the comments this is not in fact illegal, in America. It could still get you fired depending on school policy and still a fucked up moral situation to have to be in. My school gives everyone free food. Paying for other people's parking meters. My favorite story about my dad involves this. My mother and father were doing coin laundry, and naturally had a lot of coins on them. Dad was on the street waiting for a cycle when a parking inspector walked past. As the inspector got out his pad and began to write a ticket, Dad put a coin in the meter. So the inspector walked to the next car, and Dad put a coin in that meter too. They both started walking faster, the inspector trying to check the meter and Dad feeding coins into each slot. It goes on like this until they're both running down the street in frantic competition. This was in Australia in the early 90s, late 80s. In Japan, recycling someone's garbage without permission. Touching their garbage at all. You could use a discarded couch and save it from the garbage dump, but be arrested for it. The neighborhood bin was in front of my house. One day, there was a nice kotatsu table in the gomi with a note left on it, but I couldn't read it. I asked my neighbor if I could take it. They got a little bit excited or agitated. I couldn't quite follow the whole situation with my limited Japanese. They called the neighbor whose number was on the note and they got permission for me to take it. Everyone was super happy because the note was for the garbage collector to know where to send the bill. I got a free table and they didn't have to pay to dispose of it. Sigh. I miss Japan. Grabbing thrown-out food from a grocery shop's dumpster. In my country they made that legal. So it doesn't go to waste. Edit. Yes, I live in Denmark. In many countries, speaking out against the malicious and corrupt actions of the government would certainly fall under the category of moral but illegal. Most recently Hong Kong, which claims to have global jurisdiction, https://www.jtl.columbia.edu/bulletin-blog/china's-ambition-of-the-American-response over what you say about it. Pirating Abandonware. I would happily pay for Pokemon Emerald as a digital version if it was a reasonable price so my son can play my childhood game. In Germany, putting your empty beer bottle next to the trash can in cities instead of into the trash can. It's in principle littering, but it makes it so bottle collectors don't have to crawl through the trash. There is a deposit on the bottles. I think we should actually put up collect stations for PFAN bottles for bottle collectors to go trough, would be way more humane. Whistleblowing. Supposedly legal. But you know the drill. Heck, a person in Indonesia was working together with cops as informant for a couple of years. After she reported the corruption, she was detained. Luckily it went viral in social media, so the government quickly took care of it. Pirating content that has been abandoned and can't even be purchased anymore. e.g. an out-of-print book, or a game that isn't sold anymore. Lots of old 60s performances are illegal to download, but there's nowhere to buy its sad face. I feel like there's a ton of Jimi Hendrix footage but no way to legally hear it. In some states, feeding the homeless. It's now illegal to feed more than 5 homeless people at once on public property in Texas. Similar law is enforced in Florida. If you want to feed a group of homeless people, you need to get a permit. Also in Vegas, the city council passed an ordinance banning people from feeding the homeless in public parks to address some of the homelessness near and around Huntridge Circle Park. Donating unused insulin to those in need. Medication in general. Once it's left the pharmacy, it's no longer considered safe. Not even so much because of tampering, though people can be terrible and try to poison those they hate, but just storing things under the wrong conditions can render them useless to dangerous. In my state, Kai, it is illegal to marry the same person 3 times. So I would say that would qualify as moral but illegal. I can't imagine this occurs often, but what's the precedent or rationale for this? Just to not bog down the system with crazy couples? You can't see or buy a dildo in India for they look like phallus and they therefore are banned. Edit. Many have questioned on this thread what's moral surrounding the purchase of a dildo in India. It's simple. One could see plenty of them advertised or displayed by various online stores. Across the world of e-commerce, customers could choose one, go and place an order at will. But at what cost? The products do reach the ports of entry without fail. But the customs sitting at the airports seize them, stop delivering them to customers, quoting various laws. Why? The moral is, that which reaches up to one's doors at an address in India never gets to be opened and enjoyed. So near, yet so far. Thanks to weird laws. LMFAO0000000. Vibrators are sold as massages and condoms are a taboo ass topic, let alone hidden in stores and pharmacies. Ask for condoms and the moronic uncle behind the counter will look at you up and down as if you're asking for a blowjob. In America, it's technically illegal in many places if you woke up one morning and decided to cook a massive meal for the homeless to distribute for free. What law says this? Fucked up. Lemonade stands. Your child's lemonade stand can teach them valuable lessons and are pretty harmless but can be shut down without permit and Department of Health inspections. I will screech my car to a halt for a lemonade stand. I don't even like lemonade. Last stand I seen and stopped for was 2 kids selling motivational quotes. BU. Smiley face. Has been stuck on my fridge for over a year now. Software piracy when it's the only means of obtaining it. Reminds me of the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, which broke every piracy record at the time. At the time, HBO was only available as a premium add-on to a cable subscription, and I don't even think they were releasing the episodes to stream elsewhere even once the following season started. They had a high-demand show with no reasonable way of selling the content to many interested viewers, so the internet found a way. Pirating Adobe products. It's always morally correct. Photoshop is probably the main photo editing software because of piracy. Individuals learn how to use it when a pirated version, then they or a company pays even they go professional. Where I live, euthanasia. Having had to watch a relative waste away as they could no longer eat properly, had no clue who they were or who anyone else was, and was just so scared, how is making them live or wait until they starve, dehydrate the moral choice. I agree with this. I lost 2 close family members to cancer last year and they were miserable and in pain for the last several weeks of their lives. The hospice nurse actually told us the amount of pain medicine we would need to give them if we wanted to put them out of suffering. They said it's common for families to do so when their loved one is ready to go. Assisted suicide. So if you're in life destroying unbearable pain and wish to be euthanized while surrounded by your loved ones, they'll be charged with your murder. It's so weird, when your beloved pet is in pain it's totally okay to euthanize without its consent. But when grandma who has had a fulfilled life is in pain and says guys it has been great but it's time for me to go, it's FKKNG illegal and immoral and we must make her suffer for a while, like WTF. Willingly and knowingly ingesting psilocybin. It saved my life a while ago. Not even joking. Fuck the moral crusade against it. Saving rainwater that runs off your roof into drums for gardening _ Is this in the southwestern US where water rights can be really strict?